Crimson Vow Previews started yesterday with the initial announcement stream, similar to the Midnight Hunt one. They did a load of things of showing off the new mechanics and new cards that are coming, and in this case, we got a returning character too. I will summarize all the other previews that I thought were exciting in another video later today. I'll link to it in the description of this video and in the cards, and my preview comes on the 1st of November, which is next Monday. Safe to say though, it's obvious that I did not get Thalia, as this is Thalia. She has been reprinted as Guardian of Thraben, which is exciting for a few reasons, as it presents us with quite a few firsts for a legendary creature that I'll go into in a moment. I do want to take a second to talk about the art of this card and some of the alternate frames. This one is by Magali Villeneuve. God, I'm going to butcher that name, I know. The third time she's painted her. She did 2 of the Secret Lair ones as well. And it's great to see Thalia again in a completely different style, look, and situation. Here we see her stood with back to a window where zombies are paw printing it. And she is just, the whole thing is gothic horror personified way more than any other Thalia art has been. It's got that old gothic painting look that Snapcaster Mage emulated in the original Innistrad, and it's just darker in colour. Thalia looks, while still strong and powerful, she looks a bit more, I guess, worn. Her armour is not as clean and gleam. Her hair looks, dare I say it, greasy and knotted to an extent, like she is on a journey of just fighting and fighting, which is part of the story. Like, her flavor text says that Thraben belongs to the living, I will not rest until it is cleansed. The art and the flavor text tells us that she is still just out there kicking the shit out of monsters, trying to protect the humans of Innistrad. And before we go into a bit more, there are other arts as well. This one, which has got this like lovely like pencil drawing, almost comic book-esque styling, which in foil looks incredible, by the way. This is an artist that we only saw in Midnight Hunt doing the Gisser, Hound Tamer, and Dawnheart Rejuvenate alternate arts. They are new to Magic, and they are bringing an entirely different styling that I am in love with. The foiling for this, like I said, is beautiful. I'm going to be trying to get playsets of all of these, because I'm a bit of a fanboy of this card. And then the third version, that's right, there's going to be 3 versions of Thalia in this set, is a Godzilla treatment, the like sort of alternate universes beyond treatment, which is Mina Harker. This is a character from Bram Stoker's Dracula. It has flavor text that is taken from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and she is painted as someone from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Something that I think is very interesting about this is, well, I've just realised it's Magali. This is actually her 4th time painting Thalia, which is pretty wicked. The interesting thing about this is that we're seeing a person of colour portrayed on this card, which is, representation's fantastic, but what is interesting is this opens up a world of changing characters way beyond their initial framework. The Olivia one as well is 3 sisters, the Sisters of the Undead. I believe Dracula's sisters or daughters. I don't know, I won't lie to you, I've never actually read the actual Bram Stoker's Dracula. I've seen lots of terrible film depictions of it. But my point is, we've got Olivia becoming 3 people here. We've got Thalia becoming a person of colour. We could have gender bent ones of these in the future as well, where characters don't have to remain the same gender they were in their original role, and I really like that because it opens up a whole world of interesting design or interpretation of characters and their mechanics. So why am I hyped for the return of Thalia Guardian of Thraben? Well, I am fanatical about this card anyway, because it's been a linchpin of my favourite deck for the longest time since it was printed in Dark Ascension. This is a card that is a mainstay, a format staple, and a front woman of Death and Taxes, the mono-white, control-based, creature-based, I hate to call it an aggro deck. It's a creature-based control deck in many ways, in multiple formats, in Modern and in Legacy, and people try to make it work in Pioneer and Historic, and it doesn't. This Thalia being printed to Standard will make her playable in Standard, where she will have some sort of impact, I have no doubt about it, and she's now in Pioneer as well, a format that I've for the most part forgotten about, honestly, but I might have to try and play a bit of White Weenie in Pioneer now that Thalia is available. It's interesting to see that she's back to her original incarnation. We had Heretic Cathar in Shadows of Innistrad, and last time we saw her in the story, she was fighting alongside Sigarda against Brizella, and she was empowered by the Geist of St. Draft, giving her angelic-like abilities. I believe she healed a wound during the fight at super speed, and she gained wings, and she flew, and all sorts of things like that. So there was an expectation to see a blue-white version of Thalia, or maybe a Thalia that is essentially an angel without the angel keyword, or creature type with angelic abilities like fly and vigilance and stuff. Instead, we've gone back to the original Thalia Guardian of Thraben, which is interesting for many reasons. The first of which is that this is a An absolute first. We've never seen a legendary creature reprinted in a story-based main set. We've seen legendary creatures reprinted in Commander product. We've seen them in supplementary sets that are like compilations, like Ultimate Masters, Modern Masters, and such. And we've seen it a little bit in core sets as well. Off the top of my head, and I'm not going to check this, and I could be wrong. I believe Azusa, her second printing, was in a core set. So we see them in core sets often, because core sets again are kind of like compilation sets, often containing a large number of reprints. This is the first time we've ever seen a legendary creature come back like this, and it sets a precedent for this to happen in the future, perhaps, or it'd be really interesting if it's just an absolute rarity still. It almost, in some ways, shows the thematic concerns of Thalia, that she is so indebted, so on this cause, on this path of being the guardian of Thraben, that she's returned to this post-fight with a demonic eldritch angel horror in the skies of Innistrad. On top of this, this means that Thalia now has 9 arts. There is no other legendary creature outside of perhaps Planeswalkers, but again, I'm talking legendary creatures. There's no other legendary creature that's got this many arts. Thalia actually has a few more that she shows up in a couple of cards as well. The card that there's a combat trick in Shadows of Innistrad where it's her face quite close up. So there's actually like almost maybe 10, 11 depictions of her on Magic cards, which is wild. We rarely see this outside of Planeswalkers. And as a fanboy of the archetype that she plays into and stuff, I'm kind of okay with this as her being like, she's like the face of white cards at this point that aren't Planeswalkers. The arts are as follows. We've got Crimson Vow, standard Thalia, which is wonderful, this gothic horror thing going on. We've then got Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, as a, let's say, the pencil drawing comic book art. We've then got the Dracula alternate frame treatment of Mina Harker. Then going back, this is going back chronologically back through her printings. We have 4 different versions of her from the Secret Lair. We have 2 Johannes Voss ones. This is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. I believe this is when she is being cast out from the church and she realizes that the church is being, well, a bit shit. Another Johannes Voss where it's got the Geist of Saint Traft behind her, powering her on. This might be as she challenges Brazella to the first fight. There's no Griff here. She does ride a Griff during that fight to start with, but that's an interesting point in her history too. We've then got the next Magali Villeneuve one, which is the Thalia just absolutely wrecking some Eldritch monstrosity, some Eldrazi here during the events of Eldritch Moon. I believe the spear she's using is like the Spear of Avacyn. I think she uses the Spear of Avacyn in that fight. I'll have to go back and check the stories. Then we got Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, stood in front of the Hellvault as it falls. This is when Liliana tricks her into letting her guard down and allowing the Hellvault to fall, which is a whole debate around whether Thalia had some sort of magic ability over the Hellvault. So that's a debate in itself. Then there is Heretic Cathar. We're going to mention that here as well. This came out prior to the Secret Lair printings. It's not Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. It's a completely different mechanical card. So you can play it alongside it. But this is another depiction of her running from the church and becoming the heretic. Then we have my favourite of all the arts. Well, it's joint favourite. There's 2 that I love, the original and this one. This is the World Magic Cup qualifier promo. People often mistake this as a judge promo. This is a close-up of her face. People say this is a bit too waifu, a bit too weeaboo, a bit too anime. I think Steve Argyle has done a fantastic job here. The bit I really love is the perspective and the depth of having a blade and hilt in front of her face. An iconic blade and hilt too. Her fencing sword with the Avacyn's church, the symbol of her church that all werewolves and dogs obviously hate, in front of her gives this depth, and it makes it obvious that it's not just some pretty blonde girl or lady or woman. It is Thalia, because that blade is iconic to her. And then we have the original, which is my joint favourite. I can't choose between the 2. This is her stood in a field. The perspective of her raising her blade to the sky in a defiant way. The wind whipping about her cape and the grass and the sense of like a movement and motion. Like, that is a windy field, right? That is a windy field. There's no debating it. This was done by Jana Schromer and Jonas Voss, who got to come back. Jonas Voss got to come back for the Secret Lair. 9 printings of her. I can't actually believe she got so many printings. It's kind of wild. Now there is an argument and a discussion going on a little bit among D&T Discords and stuff that we should have got a new Thalia. We should have got Thalia as the next pushed like white prison and or Staxi card that can then play into modern or legacy or pioneer historic or whatever and give us another key piece to D&T. And ultimately, I don't really understand the upset, because that could then bringing back Guardian of Thraben, then bringing back her to her original role to show this absolute solidarity for a singular cause. It's thematically on point, like I said, and Thalia doesn't have to be the powerful white card from the set. If anything, it's acknowledging what makes white powerful in many of the older formats. If you're watching this and wondering why I'm gushing over a 2/1 with first strike for 2 mana as a human soldier, like, go back and play some Legacy, and to a lesser extent Modern. Like, this card has been gas in D&T and Humans and Maverick. It just disrupts game plans and is an incredibly powerful, if not immediately apparently powerful card. So this shows what white can do strong, what white can do well. What I would love to see is this thematic through line come back, and then we see a few other cards that support that kind of archetype going into standard now. We probably won't, because Wizards have consistently struggled to show us what white can do in a good way in both Commander and Standard. We've seen some good cards lately. I'm not saying it hasn't been good. I'm just saying I don't know if we needed the new Thalia to be that card that shows us how strong white can be. So more art than any other legendary. More showing up back in Standard with a reprinting of her old self that isn't in a core set. It's actually in a story set. Her character arc has gone full circle back to where she was. I guess that's disappointing that we won't see more of an arc for her. But it's okay to have someone be so stoic and so steadfast and so devout to protecting people. That's kind of cool. Anyway, that's my video gushing about the reprint of Guardian of Thraben. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. I mean, there's no way you can't be in love with these new arts, right? They're incredible. They're absolutely phenomenal. That can't be anything anyone's upset with. I want to know if people think that Thalia should have been new or different. If people dislike this finally going back and reprinting a legendary that's existed before, this is something I wanted from Niv Mizzet. I just wanted Firemind back when they went back to RTR, and with allegiances as well, and guilds and stuff, but we didn't get that. We got 4 different versions of Niv. So yeah, this is interesting. I want to see what other people think. Do people think it's silly? Let me know in the comment section below. There'll be more preview and spoiler videos now, and until, well, mid to late next week as well, until I start traveling for events. So look out for those, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.